Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerantz. Thank you for joining us. Our guest is Kristin Tilquist. Kristin is the Chief of Staff to the Riverside Mayor, Ron Loveridge, but she's also the author of a very compelling book, came out in 2009. It's called Capitalizing on Kindness. And it talks about why 21st century professionals need to be nice. And that's what I brought you back to the program, because when we spoke several months back, the economy was teetering, but we felt as if things were going to get better. The Inland Empire in California continued to get walloped by unemployment, by layoffs. Unemployment in the Inland Empire over 14%, in California 10%. Talk to me about the process of layoffs and your view on them.
Well, especially in this region, but again, across the country, as you pointed out, layoffs are a true economic reality. They happen. But what we can do, and the lesson of how to be kind in business and how to make that a strategy for success that helps others and helps yourself, is there's ways to do a layoff that are better than others. I mean, there's no way to do a layoff that is easy, but on the other hand, there are good layoffs.
I have a friend who was laid off over the phone.
Right.
I don't get it.
And you hear some stories that are just incredible. Laid off on email, laid off as a group. I've heard people who are brought in as a group of people together and all just told they were laid off at the same time.
I have another friend who was brought into a meeting upon a merger was about to happen, brought into a meeting and said, I want you go to your office, send an email to all your clients saying everything's going to be fine with the merger, and CC the CEO of the merged company, the company they're merging with, and then the next day they were all fired.
Incredible, incredible. And the thing is, right now, because it's an economic reality, because layoffs are still really rampant, although again, we're seeing an uptick and hopefully things are starting to smooth out a little bit, both in our inland economy but elsewhere, we still have to learn businesses really rely on being positive in order to be productive. They need to really build relationships. That's a key factor in doing business. So it's really important that any company that has to do any layoffs, be it one or be it 1,000, that they really figure out how to do them well.
And you have tips.
I have 5 tips, actually,
Please.
I think are really important that'll help people. And the first thing to do is, when someone is being laid off, is to simply thank them for their service. It's very simple, but you have to remember, most people being laid off are being laid off because of an economic reality, not because of a performance problem. So thank them for their service. Thank them for the 20 years they've put in. Ends with goodwill.
Simple.
You want to also tell them that you're really sorry for their loss.
Right.
You're going to build that relationship because you don't know when they're going to be back in your business life or when you're going to be actually doing business with them, whatever career they end up in the future. So really tell them your story. Another thing would be to do is also for the benefit of the people who remain behind. You have to think of all the employees behind and how
survivor's guilt.
How startling it is for them to come on Monday and by noon see 5 desks empty. So the best thing to do is let the person who's being laid off stay on for a few days. Now I know
they want to kick them out.
Right.
Clean out your desk and security escorts you out of the building. You don't need to do that.
You don't need to, and you know there's obviously legal issues occasionally with some security risk types of businesses, and there's human resources parameters, but generally speaking, it's not necessary. You really can let that person stay on. They can clean up their files, they can transition their cases and client loads.
That's simple.
And connect with the people they're leaving behind.
Fourth.
The fourth would be to I would really suggest to offer to help them with their professional transition. So as the boss, if you were needing to lay me off, that you would want to offer me, do you need a reference letter? Can I give you a hand with anything?
Even.
Contact my friend in such and such another industry who can give you a hand. And then also, to the other point, really the fifth thing would really be to let their colleagues, again, it's so important to keep your business environment positive, offer to have a goodbye lunch with their colleagues. So again, treat it like a retirement. Treat it like they're going on to a promotion even. Generally, people are going to really appreciate that. The odd person's going to feel I'm being laid off and be disgruntled, but that's really rare.
So simple, so obvious. The book is called Capitalizing on Kindness, Why 21st Century Professionals Need to Be Nice, and in these economic times, it's so true. Kristin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
You bet. For Local Edition, I'm Brad Pomerantz. Now we're going to send you back to CNN HLN.
California. Any way you slice it, it's a great state. But before our state can reach its full potential, we've got to, well, slice it. Drawing district lines determines state political districts, which is important for equal representation. Everyone deserves their fair slice. For the first time, this responsibility will be in the hands of the people like you. Visit wedrawthelines.ca.gov for info on applying to be a redistricting commissioner, a program of the California State Auditor.